I know I can't be the only one that looks at what happens today in modern society and thinks, how the hell did we get here? What is going on, right? Yeah. Guys, today's topic is one that's really important, one that I think a lot of people kind of shy away from or don't want to tackle head on and actualize as an issue, but it's all around us, guys. It's a big issue, and it's a spiritual issue, right? I feel like a lot of us are sick spiritually, and let me get to the point. Modern society is really degenerate, and what I mean by that is we just allow and normalize some of the most heinous and just disturbing things. Like, it's just normalized, and we just laugh about it, or we enjoy it, we consume it, and we go on about our days as if nothing happened, as if there was no damage to our souls, right? Because we live in this state where we've almost reached this point where we believe, well, got this one life, so it doesn't matter what I do, there's no consequence, when in reality there are very real consequences spiritually in all that we do. Okay, like, this stuff is real. The whole idea that permeates in modern society of YOLO, you have this one life, let's live it up, that has dire consequences on your life and subsequent generations, right? It's a viewpoint that lacks discipline, as well as an understanding that our lives weren't really meant to be lived just for our own, right? Our lives were meant to be lived in service of others, in service of future generations. The modern Western mentality is so individualistic, so egocentric, and everyone's living their lives that way, and it's just having such destructive consequences on the individual as well as the community, and then the overarching society. Well, I guess I should preface that I don't really talk about it often, but I am a really deep believer in God and in Jesus, and I also at one point was really, really lost in the sauce, man. Like, I was consumed and controlled by this mindset, and I think it really, really got injected into me in college, where everyone was just partying, and all they cared about were very superficial or all these things that are very worldly. That's the word, very worldly. And you're kind of sucked into this culture of degeneracy, ultimately. It's partying, drugs, sleeping around, and it's all so vapid. It's all so soul crushing, destroying. Really, it leads nowhere, but all it does is cause damage to you deep within yourself, and some people don't even realize it, but it's true. And I was part of this almost unbeknownst to me, and it's just so sad because it seems so normal, it seems so accepted to do these things, but it makes you think, why, right? Especially in an educational setting, but I digress. Anyway, the point is, I used to be really degenerate myself, and it was only until recently that after a string of incidents in my own life, I just realized how terrible living like this really is. And when I started to develop my own faith in God and understanding that this life isn't meant for you, It's not meant to be enjoyed hedonistically. The desire to be with all these women, the desire to have all these cars and all this money. Not that there's anything wrong with working hard and enjoying the fruits of your labor, if your soul is in the right place. But those desires stem from fear. And it took me a while to understand this, but it's a fear of dying, a fear of being forgotten, a fear of there being nothing after this life. And behind that fear is a lack of faith in God. It's so hard to have faith in something that we can't see, that we can't prove. And it just makes so much sense why it's so hard to do the right thing, why it's so hard to stay away from all these momentary pleasures, all this hedonism, right? It's so much easier to accept the viewpoint that, screw it. I got one life, YOLO, right? I'm enjoy it. But that's the coward's way of living life. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of trust to place faith in God, almost blindly. But I'm telling you, like, leading a life that's more similar. I'm not telling you to become a saint, right? I'm far from being anything like that. I've made so many mistakes in my life. But the point is that we have to try our best to live a life that's worthy, that's honest. Life is suffering, life is difficult, and life requires discipline and hard work and sacrifice and knowing how to cut out certain things, to live in a certain way that's good for your soul, that's good for others, right? But where there's God, there's also an equal and opposite force. And as much as people make light of it, demons, I feel, are very real and rampant currently in today's society. And that's very much so because there's almost like a rejection of God. So many people don't believe, and God is almost cast away as just some fantasy or fairy tale. And instead, people will defend things like sleeping around, like porn, all of these things that are clearly wrong and demonic. You know it because deep down, when you're alone at night, you feel that aching in your soul. And I know that because, I've experienced these terrible feelings. So yeah, not only is there a lack of, moral discipline of God, but there's also such ease of access for demons to get to you. And that's the phone. Let's be real here. It's literally a portal to the worst of society. The worst part is that kids can access this stuff and pollute their minds and souls at such a young age. Like, this is concerning, man. But yeah, I mean, what can we do to deal with the degeneracy of modern society? Well, obviously, it's no easy task, and damage has been done. We're never getting rid of half-naked girls dancing on the internet. We're never taking away, porn. Drugs are never going away. OnlyFans, feel like that's here to stay. And that's just reality. But it's spiritual warfare, okay? And you have to understand the severity of this. People aren't just getting more depressed and anxious and suicidal and miserable for no reason. Okay, like, there are real forces at play here, and we have to reject it. We have to fight against the degeneracy. It's a very conscious effort, but I know you can do it. I think the first step is acknowledging that, man, some of this shit that I see and that people normalize, that shit isn't good for you, right? So just accepting that is the first step. And obviously, I'm gonna have to go and do another video on this because I'm pretty passionate about this topic, but just know that you're not alone in your struggle if you're feeling any of this, and just keep fighting, man. Just keep fighting for what's right.